Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Super Lunch Roast Podcast, episode number 167. I am Brendan. UFC 278. That's a very large number. Usman versus Edwards, number 2. We're going to go over the prelims right here if you're looking for the main event, including the rest of the main card. That's in the last video. This one's going to go over Alexander Romanov versus Marcin Tybura, Leonardo Santos, Jared Gordon, Sean Woodson, Luis Saldana, Loosa versus AJ Fletcher, and then the early prelims. We're going to go over all those here. So before we get started, if you like MMA, you like podcasts about MMA, you like the UFC, PFL, Bellator, I cover it all here. Subscribe to the channel so you can see when the next video is coming out. Let's go! All right, guys. So these fights, this card was actually really good. Obviously the main event and the main card probably took the show, stole the show, because it's a freaking it's a main event, it's a title fight, and it ended in spectacular fashion. But we have to work through the prelims, so let's go. All right, Alexander Romanov getting his first career loss to Marcin Tybura. This one was weird, and I will tell you why. This score is wrong. Mike Bell is wrong. Derek clearly is correct. And I will say that matter-of-factly. So, if you look at what happened in the first round, both these guys can grapple, but Alexander Romanov is on another level. He's just absolutely insane. The dude he picked Marcin Tybura up more than once, lifted him up, and slammed him on the ground in this first round. So if you want to go for damage via that was some damage. That's a time where takedowns can cause damage. He had 4 minutes and 30 seconds, 4 minutes and 27 seconds, but 4 minutes and 4.5 minutes of control time. He landed, I don't know how many shots of significance on the ground. He had him in the Dagestani, position where Tybura was on all fours and Romanov was laying down ground and pound that way, doing damage. And if you look at how many Tybura landed, it's 0. 0 significant strikes. Now, this could be boring, but you know that Romanov is trying to do this. This is what he wants to do. He's a grappling heavy attacker, and it was fucking one-way traffic. Now, I understand people's hesitancy to give a 10-8 when it's just grapple heavy. But there was damage that did occur via those multiple takedowns, right? Those big slams, and also from the ground and pound. But there was 0. So there was 0 damage coming back at him. Total strikes, there was 1 total strike from Marcin Tybura, and total strikes from Romanov was 64. Okay, so yeah, they weren't significant strikes, but Romanov landed 64 strikes. Those things add up. Because of that, I gave him a 10-8. I did. There's just, if there's a good reason for a 10-8, it's that. He landed damage, and his opponent landed 0. If Tybura had landed 2 significant strikes in that round, maybe you don't give him a 10-8. If he had stayed on his feet for another minute, maybe you don't give him a 10-8. But that's not the case. It was just straight-up domination from him. Freaking kept him on the ground for, like I said, 4.5 minutes of the 5 minutes. So for 30 seconds, they weren't on the ground. Anyway, I give him a 10-8 in that round. Now, the next 2 rounds is where it doesn't get interesting. The first round was the only interesting one. The second round, Romanov was kind of looking tired. Both guys were tired. Romanov was heavy on his feet. Marcin was taking advantage, landed some damage up top, but he should be going to the body to kind of to tire him out, which he started doing a little bit later. And then Romanov actually fell from a kick, and then Marcin got into north-south and landed a little bit of damage. And then Tybura tries to take the back. Romanov scoots out the back, and then actually threw some significant strikes of his own. So if you want to look at significant strikes in the second round, 17-11 in favor of Tybura. Here's the problem. Tybura had a ton of control, and he was peppering shots the entire time. Total strikes were 50-16 in favor of Tybura. Definitely his round. Okay, I'm not taking that away from him. Round 3 was more of the same, I guess. It wasn't as active or much of a blowout, I guess, for Tybura. Romanov landed some good on his own, but Tybura 30-15 as far as significant strikes go, and that was they were pretty much all significant strikes. So that's where the difference comes between the second and third round. So I gave the last 2 rounds to Tybura. Fair. 10-9 each one. And 10 plus 10 plus 8 equals 28. And then 10 plus 9 plus 9 also equals 28. So Derek clearly got this one right. 28-28 is the correct score. Oh, wait, we got to go backwards because we cover these backwards. So Derek clearly is the only one who gave him a 10-8 in this round. You can see it right here. And that is the right call. It is. Unequivocally, that's the right call here. It sucks that they got it wrong. It should have been a draw. Okay? It should have been a draw. A draw is what it should have been. I was going to say a majority draw, but that's based off of 2 judges getting it wrong. And 2 judges got it wrong enough. Or sorry, 1 judge getting it wrong. 2 judges got it wrong enough, and it screwed up this decision. Should have been a draw. I like Mike Bell, Saul D'Amato. He has his ups and downs. He's pretty famous for having shitty decisions. But this one, it was just, they didn't correctly judge that first round. It should have been a 10-8. That's what it is. So I don't really consider that a loss as much as just weird judge. Like you can't tell me that Romanov's first round and Tybura's second round are the same. You can't look me straight in the eye and tell me that those 2 are the same thing. Those are equal. They're not. The amount of domination that he had in round 1 outdid anything that Tybura did in the last 2 rounds. If this was a 5-round fight, fine, then that 10-8 doesn't come into account. But this one, it was a 3-round fight. It should have been a 10-8. That's bullshit. All right. Jared Gordon defeating Leonardo Santos via decision. Fun technical fight as far as Gordon is concerned. He just played it perfectly. He did exactly what he needed to do. There wasn't much going on for the first 4 minutes, but Gordon stepped it up in the end of the round with pressure, some big shots, and lots of hooks to the body. 10-9 for the first round for him. Santos looking tired, so I had 37-10 in favor of Gordon in that first round as far as significant strikes go. 29-13 in the second round, and then 50-13 in the third round. Gordon was he had the cardio. Santos got tired. These fights took place at altitude. So, there was a lot of talk about that and how that was affecting the fights, and I agree that is a possibility, but, you know where you're fighting, and I understand you don't have to go to where you're going to fight to train at altitude. There are plenty of places in the world that are high elevation, and you can train at, or you can sit in a thing that simulates it. There are ways to combat and prepare for a high elevation fight. It actually affected a lot of the fights that happened. There was a lot of fighters. And speaking of the next one here, Gordon looked good. Sean Woodson, Luis Saldana. Saldana. Weird fight. There's a bad scorecard in here, and we'll go over it. But Luis actually did really good work to the body with his kicks in the first round, and then he started landing upstairs. He landed, he dropped him, and like with a huge shot, and Woodson falls backwards, and Luis tried to do the walk away, the walk off KO. And I've already had a discussion on this before, but to sum it up, you can't get the walk off KO if you don't try it. Right? If you go for follow-up strikes, the fight might continue. It might not. You might be able to get the finish. It's a gamble. The gamble is I step away now, and if my opponent faded back hard enough, the ref can step in, and then I don't have to keep fighting anymore, and I get the win. Right? So it's a gamble that you're taking with the walk-off KO. Sometimes it works, and this time it didn't. And then he actually dropped him again. He didn't fall out. Instead of following up with punches, he went for a knee, and his thigh hit Woodson right in the face when Woodson was down. Therefore, there was a penalty. This round was a 10-9 round. You could have maybe gone 10-8 with this first round, but because of that point deduction, Woodson. Oh, what did I have? Actually, did I give him a 10-8? Yeah, so I said, this round was one-sided for damage, but that point deduction means it's a 9-9. So if you want to look, there was enough shots back from Woodson, the 34 significant strikes to the 44 of Saldana, that keep it from being a 10-8, in my opinion. I feel like he did enough damage back to keep it. So first round's a 9-9. Second round here. Luis was landing great leg kicks this round. Woodson was still moving forward. Woodson went for a buggy choke. That was a big deal to Joe Rogan and then became a big deal for the announcers. But here's the thing. Luis was never in danger. He was never in danger. Like, the whole time he was very relaxed. He was just stuck there in an awkward position. It's like being in mission control where someone's leg is over the back of your head and then you're holding your own leg. They're holding their leg with their arm, keeping you locked in there. So you can't move. You can't go anywhere. But you're not going to be submitted, and this buggy choke wasn't in as much as Rogan wanted to talk about it. I don't feel like it did anything. And then if you want to talk about damage, Saldana did more damage, and he was on top. Like, Woodson, you could say Woodson had control because he was attempting a submission. I guess. I don't know if I would consider that like a good submission attempt, because it really didn't do anything. I don't think it was ever close to getting finished. And he was in the same position for 2 minutes and then gave the thumbs up, meaning he was fine. So, that's a weird one. That's like being in a... I don't know. Because I guess he technically could have finished that choke at any time, so you got to give him credit for that. So if you want to give him that round, you can. I kind of gave it to Saldana because I didn't really... I was looking at that. I didn't see Woodson's choke being of any danger. So I have it 19 to 18 in favor of Saldana. But if you went the other way, that's understandable. And then I really didn't know who was winning the last round. The damage seemed pretty even, but Saldana was pressing the issue pretty hard. Okay. And he did land more, 29 to 24 in favor of Saldana. Here's one I didn't understand. This, was it Derek Clearly? Yeah, let's see here. Okay, so they all got the first round correct, right? Giving the 10 to Saldana. Obviously, that's good. Okay? And the second round is where they split. 2 judges get it correct. Oh, man. Actually, I don't like, so the other two, so Mike Bell and Montanez both agreed with me. And then the last round, it's all over the place. These last 2 rounds were just flipped both ways. It's really weird. Montanez saw it the same way I saw it. I had it 29. I had 29 to 27 in favor of Saldana. Derek Clearly, I don't know how he gave that last round. So here's the problem. It would have been a draw regardless of what Rich wanted here. And I'll explain. So Mike Bell giving it the draw, the 28-28, which is understandable. I could see this one. Mike Bell did a good job here. A little bit of nuance. Clearly fucked up. Like in the last one, I gave him credit for being correct, but he's wrong here. Woodson did not win that last round. Did not do more damage. It's pretty even. And because of that, if he had gone the other direction, he would have had it a draw as well. Okay, in this last round. Now, Mike Bell, I disagreed with him in the last round too. I felt like that was Saldana's round. Maybe I'm off my rocker, but I don't think so. I think they fucked that one up. But it ends up being a nothing because it's a draw, so that's fine. It doesn't really hurt anybody's record, and it's bad judging gets disguised because of that. And they don't have to explain anything. Anything. They don't have to explain or answer to anybody. Okay, this one was a little bit weird. AJ Fletcher versus Loosa. Fletcher was taking the lead and moving forward, landing lead elbows, and had a decent jab in this first round. Fletcher didn't leave the pocket when he moves, which is pretty impressive. He leaves, which leaves him open to the body, and then Loosa even caught him with 3 right hands. Loosa landed damage to end the round, and I think he did enough in that first round to win it. 39-21 in favor of Loosa as far as total strikes go, landed strikes. And I definitely gave that first round to Anj. And here in the second round, these bars, if you're looking at this, these bars are deceiving. Fletcher actually outlanded Loosa 62-52. And in this round, dude, he just beat the fucking brakes off of him. Right? He unloaded. And, Fletcher, he just had this Homer Simpson technique, and Loosa was breaking. And then eventually Fletcher just unloaded on him and went to town. And, dude, I could have seen that being stopped. Beltran could have stopped that fight at any time. It was pretty damn close, and that's why Fletcher was going at it. Like, there was many times where Loosa probably took like 10 shots and didn't move, and then gets up. He's basically just doing the opposite now. Now he's the one who's just like, oh, I'm going to wait it out until he punches himself out. That's exactly what happened, because in this last round, Fletcher was exhausted, and Loosa just sat on him on top. It was really boring to watch, kind of fucking stupid. Loosa ends up getting the win there. Not an impressive win or anything, because it was kind of stupid. All right, Amir Albazi versus Francisco Figueiredo. Albazi getting the win via rear naked choke here in the first round. Albazi actually worked for a takedown, held him there for a while. Then he got back up. Albazi got another takedown, worked his way through a leg lock attempt that Figueiredo threw up. Spun around, got on the back and locked up the rear naked choke and got the finish. So good win for Albazi. Oh, he's got 3 wins: Zaga Zumagulov, Malcolm Gordon, and Francisco Figueiredo. That's 3 wins in a row for Amir. Good. He's 15-1. That is a good record. All right, Orochi Ling versus Jay Perrine. Fun fight. Very fun. So in this first round, Orochi Lang. Good grief. Orochi Lang. Lang landed a left hook that stunned him, and they were both throwing hard, but Lang really got the better of it in that first round. Even though the striking numbers are relatively even, they're actually in favor of Perrine, 20-18. But the bigger shots came from Orochi Lang. He just landed way better shots, did more damage. In the second round, Jay caught a kick and then dumped Lang. And then, the second round, 29-20 in favor of Orochi Lang. He just did more damage again. I had him up these first 2 rounds. And then Perrine in this last round finally unloads with like a minute left, and he worked his way, and in the last 10 seconds, he was going for the finish, and he was pretty close. He could, you could say like, oh, another 5 seconds and he's done. But that's all stupid talk. You cannot say that stuff when it comes to a sport with a time limit on it. You can't say that, because everybody understands that there's a time limit. It's like saying at the end of a basketball game, oh, these guys were up by 30 points, but then they blew a 30-point lead, and it got down to the last second. And, if there was 5 more minutes left, that other team would have won. Saying how stupid that is? It's dumb. There's a time limit, and we understand there's a time limit, and we have to score the points we can score during that time frame. Anyway, let's go over the first fight. Daniel Da Silva versus Victor Altamirano. If you did not watch this one, go watch it. It's fun to watch. Altamirano gets cracked early. They were playing Kick Me, Kick You, so that was pretty fun. And then Silva drops him real hard with a right hand, and Altamirano goes down. But then, Altamirano kind of gets his wits about him. They're dueling back and forth, and then he knees the body of Victor, and ended up on top, and then threw down some ground and pound and got the TKO finish. Great win for Altamirano. Fun fight to watch. Lots of back and forth. That's it. That's actually the entire prelims. If you're looking for the main card and the main event, that's going to be on the last video, right? I also covered the PFL. That's in the video before this. That's the last set of playoffs for the PFL this year in 2022. And that's it. So thank you guys for stopping by. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. If you like this stuff, subscribe to the channel so you know when the next video is coming out. I hope everybody has an amazing week, and I love y'all.